GetEgglets.com. That's GetEgglets.com. Don't delay. Call or click today.
Is President Trump turning against his personal attorney, Michael Cohen? Cohen is on the cover of the National Enquirer this week with the headline, Trump's Fixers, Secrets and Lies. How did that happen? The president is a longtime friend of the head of the National Enquirer. When asked if he thought a message was being sent, Michael Cohen told CNN, "What do you think?" Let's discuss this with Stu Zakim. He's the former senior vice president of corporate communications at American Media Incorporated, which owns the National Enquirer, and Lloyd Grove, editor-at-large of the Daily Beast. Great to have you guys here. So, Stu, peel back the curtain for us. How does this work? How is it decided at the National Enquirer who's on the cover and what the storyline is?
Well, historically, the cover topic is based on previous sales of who is on that cover. AMI has a very detailed tracking system where they can show who has sold better than others.
Okay.
And clearly, when there's an appetite for politics like there are in the country today, putting politicians or people connected to the president helps sell magazines.
Okay. So it's not the way normally news runs, which is news is the cover. You don't sort of use the metrics to decide what will sell the most. So the fact that Michael Cohen and his picture is on the cover with that headline, what does that tell you about what was countenanced at the magazine and whether Donald Trump was involved?
Well, look at, there's, once again, a long history of politicians who have made friends with people who own media properties. In fact, when you own a media property, one of the motives behind you, whether you are Hearst or Jan Wenner or you're Murdoch or David Pecker, is you have the power to really influence public opinion. You control a lot of eyeballs, and in this case, you can set the tone for the discussion. Look what we're talking about this morning.
Yeah.
The Enquirer putting Michael Cohen on the cover.
Yeah,
There
by
you
the
go.
way, I wanted to talk about what was in the article, and it's sold out. We've been looking to buy the National Enquirer. You can't get it online, but maybe I see this.
Well, there you go.
Excuse
There's
me,
another
Lloyd, can you
proof.
take
Yeah.
over while I research this?
I paid $5 for that.
Oh my
yesterday.
gosh, price gouging. But Lloyd, explain this. I don't understand the logic. If you want Michael Cohen not to flip on you, why humiliate him publicly? Why alienate him?
What do you think?
No, I really don't understand the answer to this. I mean, why are they using these strong-arm tactics with Michael Cohen instead of being nice to him so he doesn't flip?
Well, it really makes no sense on that level. And I gotta say, the headline on the cover is really bait and switch, because if you go and actually read what's in there,
Yeah, what is in it?
it's just a rehash of previously published stories. And at 10 cents a page, that's a bit of not a bargain.
So in other words, how do you interpret that? This really is just a telegram to Michael Cohen?
I think so, and I don't know whether Donald Trump would have to tell that to David Pecker to do that. I mean, he's a longtime friend of the president, and so, you know, Pecker sees that Michael Cohen might be a problem, so maybe he does this shot across the bow by himself.
What's the answer to that, Stu? Is there an explicit message or an implicit message? And what is the relationship, by the way, for people who don't know, between David Pecker, the head of National Enquirer, and Donald Trump?
Well, let's start with that question first. So Pecker and Trump have been friends since magazines really ruled the roost in New York City. In the 90s, you got to remember David Pecker launched George Magazine with JFK Jr. So at that time, when Trump was on the rise as a real estate mogul in New York City, logically he went after a media owner who's going to help advance his career. The two hit it off, and they've been friends ever since. As far as your first question, it really doesn't have anything to do with what you asked about. It's setting the tone, putting that image out there so no matter what, and Lloyd made a really good point, the story itself is just a rehash of old information. So the bait and switch is a logical tactic because it's going to move copies off the newsstand. And to your point, it's sold out. So there's really, you can see perfectly what motivates David Pecker to do these kind of things. It's not, yes, he wants to help his friends, but he also wants to make money. And look what's happening this week.
That is an interesting insight. Here is what AMI, the company that owns the National Enquirer, says. Here's their statement. Donald Trump has never been consulted on editorial decisions, has never requested that a story be written or on a given subject or angled in a certain way, and never requested a story be killed, period. So, Lloyd, to your point, maybe David Pecker can just channel him well enough that Donald Trump doesn't have to explicitly request it. But Michael Cohen, as we reported, CNN has exclusively, certainly got the message when he said, "What do you think about this message?"
Well, certainly, yeah. And Michael Cohen knows everybody at the Enquirer has dealt with him in the catch and kill area, you know, stories unfavorable to Donald Trump. So he would know what kind of message was being sent.
And we just don't know if that will affect anything in terms of how he deals with prosecutors.
Yeah, well, Michael Cohen is having a very bad week.
All right, Lloyd Grove, Stu Zakim, thank you very much for all of the insight into this.
Thank you.
We're following a lot of news, so let's get right to it.
The president's legal team is getting ready for a standoff.
The president will decide if he wants to roll the dice and sit down with Bob Mueller's team or not.
The public does not believe that there is evidence so far that the president has colluded.
We may be seeing some attempts of both sides to flex some muscles.